I actually received a handwritten letter from the patient. That's just really great to have that. I remember when I first got that, I really couldn't believe what I was reading.
For me, it's a question of, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want to help somebody who is in great need? It's a life-saving intervention that you're taking. It could save someone's life, somebody just like you.
My outlet now is more so, I just want to enjoy my life. And I was always a family person, but I think even more so now. If people can help, they would help. That's the type of generation we are.
We were only 18 months apart. With us being so close, it kind of defined kind of our childhood, having each other. We're always together, whether it be playing football club or swimming or school. We had schools across the road from each other. We were inseparable, really, I would say. People described us as twins, and we're very close. Just because she was so intelligent, very well liked, very popular, she was an all-rounder in every single way. I can't speak more highly of her. I would say, for sure, like when the people say the centre of the party, that would definitely define her. I think bubbly, fun, protective, very protective. We were both at university, so we're both studying towards our degrees, and she actually got ill towards the end of it. Whatever the reasons were, we didn't really know what the illness was. And for a few months, she was misdiagnosed, and there was thoughts of tuberculosis and all these kind of things, which we didn't think it was. And that went on for about 6 months, which is quite tough for her especially. And then they did a biopsy, and they found a cancer, lymphoma cancer in the end. Kind of confusion and just, unknowns, right? Unknowns in terms of what was going on with her. And why, and she was on other medication which wasn't helping either. So when we got that diagnosis, I think at first it was relief, and then secondly, it then kind of hit home. So I remember that moment with that appointment that she was looking at us going crying, but I think also she tried to very much hold her emotions, and she's a very strong person, very strong. I think then I remember that moment that it kind of hit her and hit us, okay. It's just those kind of things that were kind of like, it was becoming more real. Over certain times, so yeah. But we also always thought that she would be okay. So that's one thing we always did think. We did think she was going to be okay. We found that her cancer was incurable, which meant that the chemotherapy wouldn't help her and wouldn't cure her. So they looked at alternative options, and one of the options was a thing called a stem cell transplant, which we didn't have a clue about. We weren't aware of it. They tested both of us, and I was a match. I remember exactly where I was on London Bridge, and called for my sister saying that you're a match, and that I could save her. So that to me always lives in my memory, that I could help her and help her survive. So yeah, that was an emotional moment, but also full of hope. I think that's where the hope started, in that moment.
Hey, come in. Come on in. Welcome.
I'm very much at the point in life where things are busy with family life, taking the children to school, helping with their homework, taking them to various clubs and activities at the weekend. So before I knew about Jaskomal Foundation, I knew absolutely nothing about stem cell donation. It's fair to say. It was really interesting to hear the messages that were coming from the foundation in terms of education and educating people. We've had experience of somebody having blood cancer in our family. So that really resonated with me, and that really made me want to donate. I just think of somebody else that would be in the same situation as me, and I know that with blood cancer in particular, it can affect anybody of any age. I would just hate the idea of somebody being deprived of the opportunity to raise their family, because I can just see that they're so desperate to find somebody that's a match, that sort of needle in a haystack almost. And I just think that I just put myself in that family's shoes, and it's that empathy ultimately that makes you want to do that and help them to continue on with their life and their responsibilities and their enjoyment of life. So the registration process was actually really straightforward and simple. So it was just a swab stick and just literally swabbing the inside of my cheeks and then just handing that over with a form, and that was it, job done. So yeah, I'd almost gotten to the point where I'd forgotten that I'd even done the registration, given my swab sample. Almost 10 years later, I got a call saying that another match had been found. The process from there was simply for me to go into London. It was just like a blood transfusion. So it wasn't invasive at all. It was just a case of, one needle was put in this arm, and then another needle was put in the other arm. And, my stem cells were just almost just sort of harvested out of my blood. The whole process just took about 5 hours. Yeah, it was relatively painless. The doctors and nurses there were fantastic. So after my donation, DKMS, the blood cancer charity, kept in touch with me and updated me on what had actually happened with my donation. So I found out that the recipient was not here in the UK. They were actually in India. So that was amazing to learn that piece of news. I'm really grateful to Jaskomal Foundation for giving me the opportunity and educating me actually on this whole process. And if an ordinary person like me can do it, anybody can donate and register. If I got the call again to donate, I wouldn't hesitate, because I know now that the process is so easy, so straightforward. For me, it's a question of, why wouldn't I?
Started to gradually get tired, and my energy wasn't as great as it used to be, and that seemed to become more and more prominent, where I'd come home from work and just want to sleep. So I'd go to the doctors, and I was always considered anemic. Now I was given iron tablets and also started to get doctors to investigate what the issues were. So I'd gone to the appointment by myself thinking the haematologist is going to give me some jumped up iron tablets. Then she started talking about myelodysplastic syndrome. I was like, well, I'm not quite sure what that is. Can you explain it? She's like, oh, it's a form of blood cancer. And then I just seemed to have phased out. I could see her lips moving, but I wasn't registered on what she was saying. She's not talking about me, she's talking about someone else. That was my first point, was denial. She's not talking about me. And how I felt when she first told me I had this, I felt the whole world around me was crumbling. No one could be in my position, no one could help me, no one could feel what I was feeling. And I just felt alone, really alone. I didn't want to tell my children. I didn't want to worry them. So the kids knew that Mummy wasn't well and Mummy was going through chemo, but they didn't know the extent of it, because I didn't want them to hurt, basically. I didn't want them to think the worst could happen, because that was my fear, because that would affect me more than anything else, feeling, because I didn't know how to make them feel better, because I started cutting my hair short so they wouldn't see the shock of that either, because I'd always had long hair and I didn't want them to see it when it started falling out. And luckily, when it fell out, I was in hospital then. While going through chemo, I had sepsis and pneumonia, so ticked those boxes as well. I was in a week at a time for those. There was two options. There's wait and watch, which wasn't a case for me because mine had turned aggressive. So my only option was stem cell transplant. The best option would be to go check my siblings first, and it's not guaranteed that any of my siblings would be a match for me. They're like, we have people on our register, but there's not a guarantee of it. So the hospital, they were doing the searches for me on my behalf while doing the sibling matches as well. And then my siblings were going in one at a time. So my sister, younger to me, I thought most similar to me would be a match. She was 0 match. And then Mindy, the second one down, 0 match. And that's when it got worrying. My youngest one, sister went, she was a match, and then Sunny was a match. That was a relief. Like, I was like, oh my God, I've got 2 matches. I'm lucky for that. And then they rather go with the male than the female. And my brother was just like, yeah, let's do it. And he was called in. So I owe him my life. I was like, yeah, I do owe you my life. So that was amazing. So I was scared for a fraction of a time, but I didn't let that be, because that would have turned into fear, and then it would have turned into negative, because I would have gone down a dark path, and I didn't want to put myself in that position. I was always the one that looked after everyone. I was the one that put everyone in charge. My parents could rely on me. I was the mini mother and the father. And for that role to reverse, it was really weird, because I don't know how to, because I felt I was the mother figure, and I felt like he was my son, was saving my life. It just felt I should be doing the same to him, not the other way around. Sorry. I felt safe, because whatever time I would call him, he would be there. I know that. You know, if I ever needed anything, I know he'd drop everything to be there for me. I didn't expect them to do that for me. When I came out of the coma and I was back in the hospital, I was like, why am I still here? I should be out within 6 weeks. You said I'm here. When in October, I was still there in February. And I just felt comfort that I had someone with me that was my own, that looked after me. My outlet now is more so, I just want to enjoy my life. And I was always a family person, but I think even more so now. Maybe being the older sibling, I've never had alone time, and I do not like alone time now at all. I have to be with people, with family, with friends. I don't like being by myself anymore. And now my mission is just to help people that are in my position, help people that can be donors, You're doing such a precious thing for people, to give them a second life. If my brother wasn't my match, I don't know where I would have been. Our age group want to know these, want to help. Our generation before, our parents' generation, were a lot more bury your heads in the ground. Our generation isn't like that now. It's more like, what can we do to help? We want to help people for their family, for their children. They can have a mother, they can have a father. For them, you will be forever for them, their lifesaver.
The fact that you're stepping forward to do a small thing, it didn't take me more than a few days to do this procedure. It's painless and it's fast. But what you can do and what you're saving is another life. And what we do know is, no matter what religion, no matter what culture, no matter what background you have, that is always the best thing you can possibly do, is save another life. And the effort is just so little to do something like that.
So I'd say I have a very active lifestyle. I like to play football weekly, boxing, also socialising with friends, travelling whenever I can. And about 10 years ago, through my Sikh temple, I donated to the Jaskomal Foundation. I thought, what harm would it be just to donate? It takes a second of my time. It'd be for a really good cause. And then in around 2018, I received a call saying that I was a match. And then from there, everything was arranged pretty quickly. I didn't realise how perfect a match I actually was, and how underrepresented my ethnicity is on the donation register. And then to find that not only had they survived, but they're actually being able to live a life that them and their family never thought possible. The fact that you can just make a simple donation and then that follows through all the way to saving someone's life just because you happen to be a match, it just shows that without you there and without the foundation there doing its work, you would never ever be able to save that person's life. I think that's quite amazing. Yeah, I was just elated and like really proud. It's quite emotional at the time as well, you know, because I think, what if that was someone in my position? It makes me feel good about what I've done, even though it's the most simplest of things, and I think that's probably the best thing I've probably done in my life, I'd say. Yeah. And for someone with blood cancer, stem cell treatment is often the last resort and their only hope left in order to survive. So that's why I think it's imperative that we get as many people on the register as possible. I actually received a handwritten letter from the patient, and here it is. So, dear donor, I'm fine and was happy to hear from you. Life is moving forward, albeit at a bit slower pace. I hope you're well, and I'm always grateful for what you did for me and will continue to be so. Thank you so much for your act of kindness. We were honestly touched. You're always in our thoughts, and our family can never thank you for saving us, and we hope that you are well and have come through the pandemic safely. Forever grateful. It's just really great to have that. I remember when I first got that, I really couldn't believe what I was reading. Like that, just from the donation in 2013 all the way to seeing that come through, it's quite amazing, really. And I wish more people could have that experience, because it's really the most fulfilling thing you can do. And it's all made possible because of the foundation and the great work they're doing. Otherwise, I never would have gone on the register, and I doubt anybody else in that Sikh temple would have gone on the register either. So I think that's the take-home of it, really. Just a simple act can lead to literally life-changing consequences.
Now, those cells obviously were given to her as her new immune system. That's her new immune system, because her had been zapped on the chemotherapy. And she, at this time, she was in a really bad state, because it's the heaviest chemotherapy you can have just before you get the new cells into yourself. And that's, seeing her in that state wasn't nice for the family, and everyone seeing her that way was quite hard. And the transplant worked. It actually, she was getting better. You have to be very sensitive with your body over that first year, and she picked up an infection, and because of the biopsy she had and the medication she had for tuberculosis and the whole cancer on her lungs, the lymphoma on her lungs, it meant that she wasn't as strong. It meant she couldn't fight the infection as well as she could. And she was in hospital over a 3 or 4 week period in London, where all family and friends visited her, and she fought her best, but yeah, unfortunately she passed away on January 11th, 2013. It was very hard, and she was only 23 years old as well, so a big effect not just on the family but the community as well. It was a huge impact, of course. It was devastating for the family, friends, wider family, the community. And we saw that because people came in their droves to the house and the funeral and all these things. But I think where it really did was when the people stopped coming round, and when it all settled down and quieted down, and then like a couple of months after them being in the house, and I'd be sitting on the sofa and watching TV and then not having her there, that's when it really hits home. And that was the case for a number of years after. You don't really understand until you go through something similar, especially with someone so close, especially with someone so young, who you are very close to. And just sitting on the sofa and saying, what do you want for dessert? And it's things like that that really get you. And I think even now, watching things that I watch with her, watching it with my son, that's the effect it has. I think that had a huge effect on the family. The foundation was born 3 months after, and that helped us massively, especially my parents, in terms of dealing with what had happened. Something so horrible and devastating, to take that and then put it into the foundation and all the pain you feel, and to help others. I would say without the foundation it would have been a lot harder. Having the foundation has really given purpose to her life, to all of us as a family, that we can do better from darkness. There can come light. If I cast my memory back, and at her funeral I did a speech, and at the funeral I made a promise to everyone in the audience, the crowd, the people that are paying their respects. And I said I'm going to do something in her memory. I didn't know what it was then, no idea, but I was going to do it. the sole purpose was that I wanted to have memory to live on, because she was such an amazing individual, because she had so much love and inspiration and potential. I could not let that go to waste. I'm in awe of what she did in those 23 years and the effect she had on everyone around her, including myself, that it was a promise. I did it on purpose to make sure that I kept myself accountable. If an individual with a cancer, with a blood cancer, that is of Asian heritage here in the UK, cannot have a match from one of their siblings to save their life, they have to go to the register, and there is a lack of Asian on the register, so the percentage chance at that time was around 3-4%, which is such a low percentage. When I spoke to the charity to Anti Nolan and Delete Blood Cancer at the time, they were both saying there is a lack of awareness and donors on the register, and that's how the charity was born. We wanted people who weren't as lucky to have the opportunity to have hope. We wanted to give hope a future. I get goosebumps because I have goosebumps now because we set up the charity not just in our memory, not just we're here to do fundraisers and do donor drives and yeah, we'll just carry on. This was long term to save people's lives. That's as simple as it gets. That Jaskomal's life was not taken in vain. That with her memory and what we've learned and the strength that we've gained, we use that story, we then tell that story, and that story inspires others to get on the register and save others. I want to be sitting here in 10, 20 years talking about more people that have gone on and done it. And it's not stopping here. We might have done that, but we want to go to tens of thousands. That's the plan, right? We want to keep doing it, keep getting people on. We want to keep hearing people coming to us and saying, yeah, we donated and we've saved this person's life.